Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Teena Jha. Nanda Devi is the second highest mountain peak in India. Located in Uttarakhand, the picturesque mountain is a trekking paradise. It also holds religious and strategic importance for India. Stationed 500 miles from Xinjiang in China, the Nanda Devi peak is an incredible vantage point to keep an eye on our powerful neighbor. That objective in October 1965 became the motivation for a joint India-America covert operation to the Nanda Devi peak. The CIA wanted to install a remote nuclear sensor atop the peak at about 25,643 feet. But the group of mountaineers lost the device on the snow-capped mountain due to hazardous weather. Since then, the device and plutonium capsules haven't been found despite multiple search operations. And now, just last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved an investigation to unearth the lost device. But what prompted the Prime Minister to order an investigation into the decades-old mystery? How was nuclear device lost atop the Nanda Devi peak? And what could be the consequences of the plutonium with a life of 100 years buried under the snow? We'll explore these questions in today's In Depth. The mystery of Nanda Devi, the story of international espionage involving China and the governments of India and the US, is now being made into a Hollywood film. In this report, let's tell you in detail about one of the most enduring mysteries of the Cold War era. It is a perfect plot for a potboiler. At the height of the Cold War, China conducted a nuclear test, and insecure America approached India with a plan to plant a spying device on a Himalayan peak that would monitor the activity of China. It was the year 1965, 3 years after the Indo-China War, when the American Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, and India's Intelligence Bureau collaborated to install the nuclear-powered sensing to keep a tab on China's nuclear efforts. In 1964, China conducted a nuclear test in Xinjiang province, and in order to check further nuclear development, a device atop Nanda Devi was to be installed. The job, however, meant carrying equipment weighing around 56 kilos, including an 8 to 10 feet high antenna, 2 transceiver sets, and the most vital component, a system for nuclear auxiliary power (SNAP) generator. The generator's nuclear fuel, consisting of 7 plutonium capsules, came in a special container. The nuclear fuel generator, which was half the size of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, was named Guru Rinpoche by the climbing Sherpas. More than 200 men were involved in the operation. But when the team reached Camp 4 at over 24,000 feet on the 18th of October 1965, they were met by a terrific blizzard and severe cold conditions. Team leader Manmohan Singh Kohli was forced to rethink, having to choose between his men and the machine. He chose to save the lives of his men. The team retreated, leaving behind the machines, including the plutonium capsules, in a special container at Camp 4. The next year in May, a team comprising a few Indians from the previous trip and an American nuclear expert went back to the mountain. What they had realized from their first attempt was that not only was Nanda Devi a difficult mountain to climb, but they could have also done the job by planting the spying device on a lower mountain. As a result, the team decided to bring back the device and plant it on the neighboring Mount Nandakot at a height of 6,861 meters. It all seemed a simple exercise until they went back up to Nanda Devi to Camp 4. The device was nowhere to be found, and till date hasn't been found.
Camp 4 was the launch point. We were supposed to send the team, 2 teams. One team was to carry the equipment to the top. The second team was to install it, to go empty-handed, and first team was to carry the stuff. So, but on 24th there was a big storm, blizzard, snowfall, heavy snowfall and heavy storm, and the whole thing was being blown off. So it became difficult to survive. So I ordered my team to immediately return to base camp. So the team came and I told them that don't bring the equipment back because to carry further will be difficult to secure it there, make small caves and put it inside and tie it with a rope and put pitons outside so that it is secured. So they did that and they returned. Both the CIA and the Indian intelligence, they were happy with the arrangement. I was the leader on the spot, so nobody could guide me. I had to take my own decision.
It is believed that plutonium capsules have a longevity of over 100 years and could still be buried somewhere in the snow. A number of search operations to locate the missing device have proved futile. Various equipment that could check for radioactivity also revealed little. Samples of water and rock were checked for radioactivity, but the tests came back negative. The radioactive element in the missing device made it all the more important that it be found.
This expedition took place. They were climbing the Nanda Devi peak. On the way there was a blizzard and they said that okay, let us keep this thing, cover it up, and when the weather clears up, we'll come back and take it up. But when they came, there was an avalanche and this plutonium pack and all the radar stuff all got submerged in the snow. So basically this raises a point that the radioactive material is right buried there. It is inside the snow and we should actually dig it out and solve the mystery.
It was a decade later, in 1977, that news of the CIA-IB covert operation and the missing plutonium first broke in the international media. Following outrage, then Prime Minister Morarji Desai had to admit about the mission in Parliament.
There were a total of 9 people who went up, as far as I recall. Some Indians and some Americans, and I think there were 4 or 5 Indians, probably 4 Indians who went, and they went on this expedition carrying the entire load, which was a few hundred kilos. The battery itself was, I think, 50 kilos or something. Then there was the rest of the load, and they had to put it at a certain site near the top of the Nanda Devi, at the peak almost, but they couldn't reach there. So what they did was they left it at a particular spot, they marked it and decided that they'd come up later on, because it had already become winter. By the time they started in summer, but it became winter by the time they got there. So, but before they could get there, there was an avalanche and the entire area was wiped out. They couldn't identify it. So when they went the next time, they couldn't find the place.
But the mystery remains. Currently, only a handful of those involved in the operation survived. Most of them happy to let the entire saga be a part of their memories and its memories die with them. With input from Astha Kulshresht, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The possibility of a nuclear device buried beneath layers of ice at the Nanda Devi has always led to fears of a nuclear catastrophe. Experts feel the device still has over 40 years of life left and could have adverse consequences.
The icy peaks of Nanda Devi are holding a secret, potentially catastrophic. The highly radioactive plutonium-powered nuclear sensing device that was lost in a blizzard that hit the expedition team on the way to the top of the Nanda Devi mountain to install a device in 1965 is still believed to be buried somewhere in this treacherous terrain. Over 50 years later, the fears of a radioactive exposure and contamination remain, as several expedition teams since then have failed to locate the device, a nuclear-fueled generator half the size of a bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Experts say the life of the device is about 100 years, which means over 40 years are left, triggering fears of large-scale contamination of the river Rishiganga. The larger fears are those of the river Ganga getting contaminated as river Rishiganga drains into it. Contamination of river Ganga can affect the lives of millions of Indians, even causing many deaths.
We found the things missing. The ropes were broken and things had fallen down. So they became very panic, and when the news went to America, the CIA said, "Oh my God, it will be dangerous. If it goes into Ganga, millions of people will die." But actually later on, when the Indian scientists explored the whole thing, they found that it was not so dangerous. A lot of dilution will take place.
In 1966, when the expedition team returned to gather the device, they failed to find anything. Water sources and rocks were tested for traces of radiation. Kohli's 8th Indo-Tibetan Border Police Battalion was also moved near the Rishi-Ganga banks to monitor the waters for radioactivity. The mountain and the surrounding Nanda Devi sanctuary were closed to expeditions till 1974. In view of its fragile ecosystem, both locals and climbers had to wait till 1983. In 1993, a team was allowed to carry out a study at the Nanda Devi sanctuary. The samples found included a round steel case, one which carried the 7 radioactive plutonium capsules. It was assumed that the elements tore away from the steel protection.
But that doesn't really harm you, in a manner that people talk about radiation. Okay. We work in the laboratory conditions with radioactive materials. We know how long we can expose ourselves and whether we should touch it directly with hand. So these concerns are, is genuine for a politician, a leader, for safety of his public.
With the government hinting at making yet another attempt at unearthing the mystery of the missing plutonium, experts hope that the fears may be over once and for all.
There is no evidence that the Ganga is got traces of radioactivity, either the Ganga or the other major rivers which all flow there, and which could get polluted if this, the capsule had leaked. I think regular tests are done for pollution also. They would have found out this radioactivity in the water. But so I think he may have been briefed on it, or he may have decided that it is time to try and locate the device and the leak, and this was one way of bringing it to the attention that something needs to be done.
Experts believe that with latest technology, there is a possibility of locating the device and laying to rest the fears of a radioactive catastrophe. With inputs from Astha Kulshresht, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Uttarakhand Tourism Minister Satpal Maharaj recently raised the issue of the missing radioactive device with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister assured him that an inquiry will be conducted into what is a sensitive matter. However, glacier experts believe there is no threat to human life till the time radioactive material remains untouched.
Uttarakhand Tourism Minister Satpal Maharaj expressed concern over an atomic device that had gone missing over 50 years ago during a failed Nanda Devi expedition in 1965. In a recent meeting with the Prime Minister, Satpal Maharaj raised the matter and said it is important to trace the radioactive material as it may be hazardous.
And I was very keen to know exactly what has happened to the plutonium pack. So basically this raises a point that the radioactive material is buried there. It is inside the snow, and we should actually dig it out and solve the mystery. So this is my demand, because I met the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and I told him that this is a very important thing, because this is going to affect Ganga, this is going to affect the Himalayas, this is going to affect the environment. And now as a tourism minister, it is my concern that this device should be excavated and the fears must be put to place. If the capsule goes down below and there is the avalanche is there, or even the glacier moves, the glacier can crush everything, you know that very well. So there is a possibility of it getting leaked. So my submission is this, that the water should be actually monitored. We should see the intensity of the radioactive material that should give an alarm, and also we should actually dig it out, because now we have the technology, we have all the systems, we have the scientists, and this is a challenge. Actually we should take it out.
Soon after the meet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured Satpal Maharaj that his government will take the required action in the case. Captain Manmohan Singh Kohli, the former Indian Navy officer who led the original Nanda Devi expedition, believes that the atomic device will remain as it is for 100 years and in due time will hit the Earth's surface. However, he also said that there is no harm if the government wants to unearth the missing device.
So my personal feeling is that one shouldn't worry, because according to me, it was on my suggestion that the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission had closed the file, and I told him, according to my judgment, the thing is hot for 100 years, and once it has fallen on the glacier, it will keep on sinking, because with the heat, the snow will keep on melting, it will keep on going down and down and down. And finally, when it touches the rock bottom, it will stay there. So the file was closed. But now that the tourism minister of Uttarakhand is worried, Uttarakhand, and also new machinery has come, I think there is no harm if the government decides to send a team with the new equipment to check up whether they can locate the missing generator.
There is fear that a radiation leak from the plutonium contained in the device left behind could pollute the river Ganga. Glacier experts, however, feel the mystery device may emerge of its own after some years, given the rate at which the Nanda Devi glacier is melting.
I welcome the concern of a minister of a state, because that is the state where it still lies in the ice. Because if a person comes into direct contact of this instrument, then the radiation might harm him. But saying that it is polluting the water, I don't subscribe to that idea, because it is integrated in the ice with a life span of 100 years. It's not going to be beyond that. So if it stays in the ice for 100 years, it is there, like a dead body of a human being, in the ice, integrated. So possibly there won't be any pollution as such, unless it is, it is crushed and somebody comes into contact directly, picks up the instrument. I don't see any chances of, people getting exposed and polluting, instrument polluting the waters. No, not at all.
With the Modi government's assurance, it is only a matter of time before the mystery of the Nanda Devi mountain is solved. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Nanda Devi is considered the presiding deity of Uttarakhand. Several folk stories surround the mighty mountain. Nanda in Sanskrit means joy or happiness, and the name Nanda Devi means the goddess of joy. In this report, let's take a look at the legends of Nanda Devi.
At 25,643 feet, Nanda Devi in the hill state of Uttarakhand is the second highest peak in India. Nanda Devi is a two-peaked massif forming a 2-kilometer-long high ridge oriented east-west. Its twin Sunanda Devi, previously known as Nanda Devi East, is the lower of the two adjacent peaks. Together, they may be referred to as the peaks of the goddesses Nanda and Sunanda. Nanda and Sunanda occur together in ancient Sanskrit literature and are frequently worshipped together in the Kumaon and Garhwal regions as well as other parts of the country. The Sanskrit word Nanda means joy or happiness, and the name Nanda Devi simply means the goddess of joy. In the ancient Hindu epic Mahabharata, the Himalaya are personified as Lord Himavata or the god of snow. Himalaya is the father of Ganga and Saraswati that became rivers, Parvati, an avatar of goddess Durga who married Shiva, and Nanda and Sunanda, who too are avatars of the goddess Durga. According to another legend, Nanda Devi was the daughter of the local king who was killed after her father refused to marry her to an evil king. Nanda Devi escaped the attack that killed her father and found refuge on the mountain now named after her. Safe at the mountain, Nanda Devi is protected by the ring of mountains containing 12 peaks. The beliefs associated with Nanda Devi make the region a popular pilgrimage spot. The The Nanda Devi temple located in Almora district is the seat of a deity who is worshipped as the daughter of the Kumaoni people. The main attraction of the temple is Nanda Devi Raj Jat or Yatra that is held once in 12 years. During this festival, the deity is decorated and sent to her other home at Trishul Peak, followed by a grand procession. Many also believe Nanda Devi to be a manifestation of the goddess Parvati, who is both an important deity in her own right as well as the consort of the Hindu god Shiva. Parvati is said to possess enormous range of moods from extremely kind and happy to harsh, fierce and horrifying.
There was one person, American, called William Unsold, and he was climbing the Nanda Devi peak, and as he reached the peak, he was on the peak, he got a wireless message that he has been blessed by a baby girl. So he named that girl Nanda Devi. So finally, later on, his daughter, because he was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nepal, so his daughter, when she was big enough, she came down here to climb the Nanda Devi peak. And she goes and she was speaking Garhwali, Nepali, all different languages. Her hand they were blonde hairs. So all the porters were very mystified by that lady. And her name was Nanda Devi. And as she climbed in the Camp 4, she got stomachache and she died there. So basically the father of the girl was very sad, and finally he read the diaries of his daughter, and she mentioned that I'm going to die. She knew that, and from Nanda Devi she came, and to Nanda Devi she went.
The places with which her deeds are associated are named after her, and legends are passed on through the generations, keeping her sacred memory alive amid people who live near the mountain. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's it from us in today's edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on another subject. You can also watch our episodes online on YouTube and Twitter and get back to us with your feedback and suggestions. Thanks for your time.